Okay, this is the most new video for me, and it's been a while. But this is arguably the most important video I will ever make about the most important subject that is of importance to us today in this country, and that is how our government is assembled and how it functions, and why. And we have a little bit of a problem because we have decided that interpreting the Constitution of the United States is more important than what the Constitution of the United States actually accomplishes as far as government is concerned. Okay, so what's our biggest issue today? Our biggest issue today is that we want to control policy, foreign and domestic. That's the mode of politics today, is to control policy. In whose interest? Well, obviously, it's the economic elite's interest, and because they're the ones who pay. They're the corporate sponsors in this political monopoly, House rules version of government. The economic elite may only be 0.00025% of our population, but they want to wield influence greater than the majority, which they're doing. In the Democratic and Republican forms of government, the economic elite are minorities. They have influence commensurate with that minority. They don't have a way of buying influence, controlling influence, winning influence. You can't win influence. And then there's something called concurrence, which the Senate, which is the states assembled as equals with equal suffrage, which is a democracy of the states as the union, they have the power of concurrence over all matters of their union. All, A-L-L, all. That's all domestic policy, all foreign policy, the administration, powers of government officials, roles and responsibilities of government officials, our alliances, commerce, which includes tariffs like Trump is trying to impose that he has absolutely no power or authority to implement, even by a stretch of the imagination. Okay? They have the power of concurrence. And what does that mean? That means that a predetermined majority of the states must concur with the choices and decisions that are made for the United States to act as the union. Okay? That's everything, including electing the president. I don't care how many elections people win or how many electoral college votes they have. When it comes right down to it, the states as the union have the power of concurrence over who becomes the president of the United States. Okay? I don't care how many. Why? Because they will consider those persons who are identified and vetted to be the president. And if you don't give them anybody to consider, then they won't make a choice. they'll say, wrong. We told you we wanted so many persons to consider, and we consider those persons, the top persons from those that are identified, and we will make the choice by vote. A majority of all the states is necessary to the choice, and each state gets one vote. Why? Because it's a democracy. Okay? A democracy isn't just voting of the people. No. Democracy is how you form a legislative assembly. Okay? Which does what? It's how you make collective decisions. And all the members of the democracy are assembled as equals with equal suffrage. And that doesn't matter if it's a strict democracy, which would be like the assembly of the states as the union, or if it's the people that are assembled through a representation of all the people, which is a Republican form of government. It's all Republican forms of government are democratic forms of government. Now, all democratic forms of government are not Republican forms of government because if it's an HOA, then each owner has equal suffrage. To do what? To reach a majority consensus of all the owners as the HOA. The owners are the HOA, Home Owners Association. The owners of the association. The HOA is not its own entity with its own powers and rights. No. The owners must concur with the authority and actions of the HOA. Okay? Same thing with the United States. The administration is not the United States. It's not the government. It just administers the government. Who determines what the actions are of the government? The United States in Congress assembled, the union. And that union, which is the Constitution, is the established government authority ordained by Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution of the United States. Okay? And that Constitution is responsible for what? Has the authority to make all laws and all treaties. And those laws and treaties are what? The supreme laws of the land. Why? Because the states assembled in a Congress as the union is the established government authority. Okay? And they assemble an administration to manage the general affairs of the United States under their direction. Okay? The president is an interchangeable cog, and the incoming president may require in writing of the principal officers of the executive departments an opinion on the subjects and duties of their respective offices. And an opinion is not the details of those subjects and duties, which are what? Transmitted directly to the states as the union assembled as the Senate, which is what? A democracy of the states as the union. And that is how continuity and stability of government is established, because each incoming president must come up to speed on the state of the union by requiring that opinion in writing from the principal officers of the executive departments. They do not change anything. They cannot change the principal officers. They do not have a cabinet. Nobody reports to the President of the United States. The President has no authority to do anything. The President doesn't even participate in the subjects and duties of those respective offices. And if there is information about how those officers are functioning in the subject and duties of those officers, that information has to be transmitted by the President to Congress for their consideration. Who's considered? The states as the union. Okay? Are we starting to understand now? The President doesn't have any power and authority. And if you read all through Article 2, you will not find any power or authority to do anything by the President of the United States. In fact, when they started to state the powers of the President, they put the conditions on that power first before they told you what powers he had. And those powers aren't real powers to do anything. He may make treaties by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, which is the states assembled as the Union. And 2/3 of the states have to concur because the states have equal suffrage in the Senate, not their individual senators. Okay? The individual senators only represent their own state's legislature and are directed by their own state's legislature. If their state legislature tells them to vote no on something, then they better vote no on it. Or what? Or their state legislature will remove them and put somebody else in their place to serve out the rest of their term of office, which is the state's right to do. They don't have to have a recall election. No, the people of the state are assembled in the most numerous legislative branch, all the people. And that's how equal participation, equal suffrage is maintained in a Republican form of government. It's because it has to be an exact representation of all the people that maintains equal participation and equal suffrage for all the people. So they don't have to do anything anymore. The people don't have to vote except to form that exact representation as the most numerous legislative branch of their state legislature. After that, then when that most numerous legislative branch speaks, they speak with the authority of all the people of each state. Okay? And it's the same for the federal government in the House of Representatives, which is also the people in their collective capacity of the country. They speak with the power and authority of all the people of the United States of America. Not just Democrats and Republicans, not just voters, all the people. That's what makes it a Republican form of government. And that guarantee in Article 4, Section 4 of a Republican form of government, what does that mean? That means in order to be a member state in the Union, they must constitute their own most numerous legislative branch of their state legislature as an exact representation of all the people of the state. And if they don't, then these other states have the power and authority not to seat their representative delegation to the federal legislature. Okay? That means no senators, no representatives for that state if they don't assemble their representative delegation as a Republican form of government. I shouldn't even be having to say this after 200 and almost 50 years. But the United States in Congress assembled in the Senate is a democracy. 100%. And it's a Republican form of government because it's the Confederation of Republics, as each state must be a Republican form of government, must be their legislature must be assembled as a Republican form of government. Okay? That's what it means for a democracy and a Republican form of government. I don't know about all this other stuff about parties having equal access to the ballot and that's BS. Bullshit. A democracy is a legislative assembly. Democracy is how it's assembled, how that legislative assembly is assembled, and how it functions. Why? Because you need quorum requirements for the states to participate, to determine the choices that they want to consider. And you need equal suffrage to determine the choice from those choices they agreed to consider. So this is all about agreement. This isn't about swaying people to your, no. This is about agreement. This is how to make an agreement collectively. You have to determine and agree to the choices you want to consider. Then you vote to determine the choice. One vote per state, and a majority of all the states is necessary to the choice. This is the United States of America, not the United Parties. The state, and a state is what? All the people of the state. An exact representation of all the people of the state, assembled as the state's most numerous legislative branch. Okay? What else can I say about democracy to get you fools to understand? Thank you.